Hey folks, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy.
All right, folks, here we are on Wednesday, November 27th. We're going to take a look at RGTI today. So an update here on RGTI blew through the levels that we had on the chart. We had charted up to this 229 in the last video, and we are extended up beyond that at the moment, though it did come down yesterday. And did it touch this 209, or what was the Nope. The low yesterday was 210, so it came within a penny of this 209 level that we had on the chart. So, if you're an RGTI bull, there were a couple of things that I mentioned last time. If it extends out above the range that we had charted for support and resistance levels, when it did dip, or if it did dip, you did want to see it catch one of the nearest in support levels and start working off of that. For the time being, at least, that seems to be the case. And the other thing I had mentioned, though this isn't coming into play at the moment, is this green uptrend support, that if it came down hard, you would really want to see it bang off of that and show some level of support there. But right now it's doing that first thing that I mentioned and putting those in. Now, there's not a ton of good, clean price action to go off of historically in the range where it currently sits. Once or if it gets into the fours, then some doors will open. But I did put in this 325. That 325 is a really, really critical level if it's able to get back up there. So that blue resistance level, 325, if I'm an RGTI bull, I want to see it, if it does get there, I want to see it break through, dip down, reconfirm, and carry on its merry way. Now, it obviously had some exposure to that level here on this candle the other day. So what factor that plays and how it runs to or through that 325, that's sort of to be seen. But because there's relatively thin price action and we are operating above the resistance levels that we had on the last chart, I put in these yellow Fibonacci extension levels, okay? So right now, we see the price here at about 240. The nearest up level that we have with the fib, 259, and then basically 290, 314, and 339. So even on the fib here, they get pretty tight in around that 325 that we had. So, if I'm watching RGTI closely and it gets up in this range, I'm watching that break from above 3, so like that 314 area, up to the mid 3s, because this is a really critical zone. If it can get through there, then there's some room, at least per the fib, to 374 basically, and then I can show you the other levels. So if it gets really leggy, 374, 418, and then 547 basically is what we have for the fib. But first things first, I'm going to want to see it continue to build off of this 229 level, maybe press toward that 259 level, and certainly not lose this level. Now, it could sort of wrestle with it a little bit, right? Slightly above, slightly below, but nothing back down toward that 209 level. That's what I would really want to see if I'm going to look for sustained strength with RGTI. So what we see here, it's extended way above these ATR levels, but it actually almost, or I guess it ran through the +1 ATR level as it's currently situated for the December levels, right? So it's, elevated far and above, it's well out of the channel, it's well above the November ATR levels. That doesn't mean it can't keep running. It's just to sort of situate yourself and say, okay, just so you know where you are, here's where you are. But it had nice motion off of that, right? It came within a penny or two of the December ATR level and pushed down through it. Found support at the November +1 ATR. So that's right where you'd want to see it catching support on this setup, right? There's similarly, it caught support where we wanted it to on the Webull setup as well. But, just to give you a different view. Caught it on the ATR levels here. The trigger and fire and the TTM squeeze indicator, we're only 3 candles into a fire. It was a relatively quick trigger, but you know, if it's able to sustain, if it's able to do the thing that we talked about over here, right, not dip down toward that 209, that's what I'm going to be looking for, is continuation of this TTM squeeze fire. And phase oscillator wise, still obviously in bullish momentum, situated on the oscillator at about 77 or so. So certainly not considered overextended at that range. Again, take the oscillators with a grain of salt, because just because something is, you know, sort of in air quotes here, overbought, doesn't mean that people have to stop buying it. It doesn't mean it can't go higher. And similarly, if it's air quotes oversold, does not mean that people need to stop selling it and step in and start buying it. So, you know, sort of like a data point to have in your tool belts, if you will, or have in the back of your mind, but not a be-all, end-all. For me, I'm mostly interested in these ATR levels holding support, especially since December's right around the corner, getting into this ATR level setup. And like I said, here, you know, the cautious brain saying, don't lose the 229 level, definitely don't make motion down toward the 209 level. Ideal situation, it stays elevated above this 229, and sooner than later, you know, maybe when sort of the holidays clear here in the US and there's a little bit more volume and whatnot, pushing toward that 259. That's what I'm going to want to see, but we'll see how these fib extension levels hold up. You know, they are fib extension levels, so just keep in mind sort of the crystal ball voodoo element of that, and I would rely more on these you know, support and resistance levels until we see the fib start to prove itself out. But that 325, all critical, quite far ways away price wise at the moment, so it's going to need to get there first things first. All right, folks, well, I hope that your trading week is going well and that you enjoy the day off tomorrow. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.